Greetings, Wargamers. Neverlin here with another 40k Pro Battle Report. Today my Blood Scorpions are taking on Razorwire and his Hive Fleet Godzilla. Our battle today is set on the Tomb World Selma Sigma, which gives us a few extra interesting rules, which I'll go over a little later. We will be fighting a scouring mission on this awesome desert terrain with a straight-up Dawn of War deployment. Razor won the role to go first, and he decided to deploy first. On his flank, he placed the Daka Hive Tyrant with guard, along with a unit of 4 warriors armed with lashes. Towards the center are a pair of Carnifexes led by a Tyranid Prime. Hanging out in cover are 7 Gene Stealers with a Broodlord. In reserve, Razor is holding the dreaded Doom of Malantai, along with a Trigon Prime. Looking to my side of the board, I positioned my Bastion with quad gun neatly on top of a hill surveying the field. The quad gun is manned by a 5-man sniper scout squad. The middle floor has a Devastator squad with rockets along with a Sanguinary Priest. And the first floor houses a 5-man Terminator squad with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. Over by the Oasis, I have a 10-man assault squad with Flamers and a Power Fist, along with a Sanguinary Priest and Mephiston. I decided to hold both of my Predators in reserve. Alright, as I mentioned before, we have some special rules for today's game. The first is Heat Wave. Due to the stifling heat on this planet, all morale checks are made at -1, so we'll see if that comes into play. Also, the second special rule is for the Oases that we have on the board. In addition to granting a 5+ cover save, any units within 6 inches are granted Stubborn and Feel No Pain, only at 6+ though, and are not subject to the aforementioned Heat Wave rule. Before we get going, here's a good overview of the board and where the objectives are placed, along with how much each of the objectives is worth. As far as my strategy goes with the Blood Scorpions, it's just to hang tight and keep those big nids off my Bastion. I'm banking that my fast-moving Predators can hold some of the objectives towards the end of the game. Let's see how this pans out. Quick first turn for the Tyranids. The Carnifexes slosh their way through the Oasis to gain a little bit of cover there, while the Hive Tyrant and his warriors moved along the flank, aiming for that big 4-point objective down there. The Gene Stealers crawled up the hill, remaining out of line of sight, and turn was passed to the Blood Scorpions. For their part, the Blood Scorpions held tight, not wanting to move anywhere, and opened up all guns on the Carnifex brood. The Devastators manned the Bastion Heavy Bolter and fired rockets into the Carnifex brood, while the scouts up on top let loose with the quad gun, totaling 3 wounds on the closest Carnifex. This was pretty much one of the shortest turns I've ever had in Warhammer 40k. Let's see what happens when the reserves come in.
Targeting those damn things!
The Tyranids opened up turn 2, dropping the Trigon Prime on the Bastion's doorstep, while the rest of the monster nids lurched forward, bent on tearing open some power armor. In the shooting phase, the Hive Tyrant fired her Devourers at the assault squad, killing 1.
Taking haste!
The Trigon released its pent-up Bioshock silliness on the scouts, who went to ground but still lost 2 of their number. Blood Scorpion 2 counterattack. The Ball Predators came in on either flank, taking up position on the elevated mountains. The Terminators exited the bastion, forming a defensive ring of steel around the perimeter. Mephiston cast Wings of Sanguinus and moved up along with his assault marines. In the shooting phase, the first Ball Predator ripped all guns into the Trigon Prime for 2 wounds. On the other side of the field, the Ball Predator tank and the Devastators combined their firepower for a flood of wounds. The Devastator poured their rockets into the warriors and heavy bolters for about 5 wounds, while the Ball Predator did 4. In the end, the combined firepower took down 2 of the warriors and left the other 2 barely alive. A mighty assault phase ensued as Mephiston charged recklessly into the Carnifex brood. The Carnifexes laid down an impressive 8 hits on Overwatch with their twin-linked Brain Leech Devourers, but the Chief Librarian emerged relatively unscathed, taking only a single wound after armor saves and feel no pain.
Slay every Tyranid!
I opted not to use any further warp charges on Mephiston, hoping to save them in case I actually hit, and after the dice were rolled, it was very apparent that Mephiston was just in some crazy blood rage, as I got a pair of precise strikes and all of the other hits were successful as well. I put the precise strikes on the unwounded Carnifex and another one on the Prime. With a couple of lucky rolls, Mephiston was able to ignite the force weapon on both of those precise hits, killing the Carnifex and the Tyranid Prime instantly. The remainder of the hits finally killed the remaining Carnifex. With the Carnifex brood dispatched in grand fashion and standing waist deep in Tyranid guts, Mephiston looked forward to his next victim. Razor Wire kicked off round 3 by dropping the Doom right in the middle of my ranks. The Hive Tyrant advanced on the objective, while the Trigon moved up to strike the Terminators in Fort Bloodstorm. The shooting phase was exceptionally brutal for the Assault Marines, as the Doom absorbed the life of 4 of them right off the bat, and then blasted another 3 with psychic energy. The Hive Tyrant tried to finish them off with his Devourers, but they fell short, and just as the priest thought he had made it through, the tentacles from the Spore reached out and strangled him to death. The Trigon fired its pent-up energy at the Terminators, but failed to penetrate through the armor. And with a roar, the Trigon climbed up the hills, crashing into the Thunderhammer Marines, killing 1 Marine in the process, but taking 3 wounds in return.
Space Marines attack!
The Blood Scorpion's turn saw Mephiston position himself to take out the Doom in the next assault phase, while the Jump Marines backed off a bit to get out of range of the Doom's Spirit Leech. Mephiston grit his teeth as he took a wound from the Doom's leech. The Ball Predator tank on the Bastion's flank maneuvered itself to start mowing down the Gene Stealers, putting a wound on the Brood Lord and taking out one of them. The other Ball Predator tank lent its considerable firepower to the squads in the Bastion and unleashed pain on the Hive Tyrant and its guard. A punishing hail of rocket fire, snap fire, quad gun fire, and assault cannons wiped out the warriors, leaving only the Tyrant remaining with a single guard. In the assault phase, Mephiston cast the Sanguine Sword and easily dispatched of the Doom, while the Terminators laid into the Trigon, killing it but not before losing 1 more of their own. Let's see if the Tyranids can pull it out in the 4th. Tyranid turn 4. Unable to escape the insatiable pull of the Hive Mind, even in the face of terrible odds, the Hive Tyrant and her guard advanced on the Blood Scorpions. The Hive Tyrant then unleashed another torrent of devourers in an attempt to knock out the assault marines, in spite but failed to wound.
Is this the finest your lot has to offer?
Blood Scorpion turn 4. The assault marines jumped onto the objective in the oasis, while Mephiston flew towards the Hive Tyrant to end that threat. The Ball Predator continued to mow down the Gene Stealers, killing off all but 3.
None can stand against the Emperor's war machine!
Final salvo of rockets, heavy bolters, quad guns, and assault cannons finished off the Queen and her guard, with a sniper putting the final shot right between her dying eyes.
End the Tyranid threat! Face Marines attack!
I guess if this were an MMO, it would be considered a wipe. Razor Wire decided to call this one early. That early skirmish at the beginning with Mephiston and the Carnifex has really defined this game, and that can often happen when you have such a small point value. Anyways, great game. I was actually getting a little payback from a floor mopping that Razor Wire had given me a month before, so great game, and we'll see you in the next one.